ways.
Is this just like in the Logan, Utah area that you're like looking at, or like in a city area?
Good question.
Because it could vary like depending on your location.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. For this particular study, I'm just looking at undergrads here at USU. In the future, if I'm going to continue this research, I definitely want to expand it to other populations and look at other people. Maybe there's something unique about living in Logan that kind of affects this relationship. Maybe because we have these mountains right here, that's going to have some effect in the way people feel about the natural world. Or maybe because there is a lot more open space here than you'd find in like a major city, that this connection is going to be stronger. So you're absolutely right. All I can do from the data that I'm collecting is make generalizations about the particular population that I'm studying. I won't be able to say that all people across the world share this kind of relationship. All I'll be able to say is that for, students of English 1010 at USU, this is the trend that seems to be holding. So yeah, it is limited by who I'm studying, absolutely. And right now, this is just trying the first step to see if there's any sort of relationship here.
So if you're doing it based off of like people going to USU, wouldn't you also want to ask like where they're from? Because I came from Alaska, so I'm wondering like if that might be different, or if you do your study later, if I might fit in better with people from Alaska or something.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. I tried to get at that a little bit by saying, did you grow up in an urban area, a suburban area, a rural area? Because that's kind of, a previous research has shown that that might be related. Kind of where you grew up as a kid might be related to kind of your attitudes now. But kind of for this study, what I'm most interested in is seeing, how do you feel about nature in this moment? And how is your life going in this moment right now? So I'm just trying to draw these connections here, which is a lot more based on what you're experiencing right now than on what happened when you were growing up.
Okay.
Do you know like any research that's like was done clear back when that's been redone? Because I would assume that it's changed like based on like in the 60s or 70s to now.
Research on this?
Well, not on this, like on any topic. When it generally change like in the future?
Yeah, that depends. Some findings have been confirmed time and time again. Certain psychological processes, certain things about being human, certain things about our memories, that's not going to change over time. What I think that maybe you might be getting at here is that because our culture and our society is changing, that maybe some of these things might change too. So yeah, definitely when you're doing your literature review, you want to pay attention to when the research was performed. A good example is like looking at people's levels of stress and anxiety like right around 2011. So getting an idea of how people felt about like traveling and their own personal safety right after the 9/11 terrorist attacks would give you a different idea than if that same study was done 1 year earlier. So that's important to keep in mind too, that events, parts of our society are constantly changing, and that's going to influence how we write down these measures. So very good point.
I was just curious if you're keeping track, like, when you're doing these surveys, because you said it's over a long period of time, so are you keeping track, like, if it's done in winter or summer or spring? Because I know if I, like, my likeness of nature changes a lot depending on summer, winter, spring.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm testing everyone around February, March, so everyone's going to be at the same time. And that being said, you're absolutely right. Maybe I get totally different responses if I did this in September or if I did this in June, when the weather's a little bit nicer and people are outside more and people have different experiences. So that is one of the limitations of this study, is that it's getting people at this one specific point in time, and this time is the winter in Logan, so maybe people aren't as involved. So yeah, good point.
If you were to find out that there was no relationship between either of those, is that like the end of the line, or are there other things that you could do to keep this going?
It's a good question. I'm not sure what I'd want to do. I kind of want to see what the results looked at. Was I close to having a relationship there, but just didn't have enough people, didn't have enough statistical significance? Or if there's really no relationship there, I'd probably want to take a different course. I probably personally would want to find a new area to investigate. So you can switch things around. You can ask a lot of questions in terms of, well, why didn't it turn out this way? Was the literature wrong in the past? Am I drawing the incorrect conclusions from the literature that was done? Are my hypotheses not related to other people's findings? Because right now, there's a little bit saying that this might be a case, but we don't know for sure because no one's done it. So really, this is an exploration. This is called exploratory study because no one's really looked at this. So if I don't get any significant results, I'll be a little bit sad, but I won't be heartbroken because I'm knowing that this is just an exploration and that I will find something interesting and something useful to look at with all this data that I've collected, even if these hypotheses don't turn out to be true. But yeah, that's a good point. It's something that everyone doing research should be prepared for. What if their hypotheses aren't shown to be supported by the data? It's a big concern. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
If you were to go further with this, like, what would you do?
Probably the next step would be kind of what you were asking about too, is how can we change some of these variables around? What can we do to increase levels of connectedness to nature? If we increase levels of connectedness to nature, would that influence people's mental health? So taking the next step from just collecting this correlational relationship type of data to seeing how can we shift these things around to make people's lives better.
Are you researching more than one thing, like right now, or is you just spent 2 years on this one topic? So if I think I spent 2 years on one topic, I'd go crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm doing other projects too. I have an advisor and I do research with her too. Her work centers around the effects of environmental toxins on mental health and how the environment affects the way people feel. So sort of related. That's why I'm working with her on this project. And I'm also interested in, I'm doing a lot of clinical work. I'm doing a lot of therapy and practicing therapy. So that's another big interest of mine in the program too. So this is not the only iron I have in the fire, but it is one of those things that you constantly have to be working on, taking those small steps, because it's really easy to fall behind.
Were you looking for a certain end result, like when you first started this?
I wouldn't say I was looking for a certain end result. I have certain ideas of how I think it's going to come out. And yeah, maybe certain end results would make me happier than others, just based on my own hypotheses and personal beliefs. I think that these are positively correlated. That as connectedness to nature goes up, mental health goes up. As connectedness to nature goes up, quality of life goes up too. So that's kind of my inclination right now, is that they're all kind of positively related to each other. That being said, I'm open to the fact that maybe there's no relationship here, or maybe there's no relationship here. And that's good information to know. That's going to inform future research, and that's going to help people from here on out.
Was there ever like a point when you started your research that you just felt like giving up?
Oh yeah.
This isn't worth it.
Oh yeah, I still feel that. I still feel that all the time. It's a really long and hard and drawn out process. And you'll spend hours and hours working on a draft, and then you'll hand it to your committee member, and they'll be like, change this, this. And you get devastated because it's like, oh, I worked so hard, and now I have to fix all these different things. And so that part is difficult. It's a lot of work, and it's not that rewarding all the time. It's like, you know, I'm still collecting data. I haven't been able to answer my question yet. It's already been like a year and a half. So yeah, there's times when I want to stop for sure. Absolutely. And I kind of, to work through that, I just have to remember